Multiplying monomials is a lot like the exponent rules that we were doing. This is a monomial, and this is a monomial. So anytime that you're multiplying, you multiply the numbers just as normal. And then for bases that are alike, you add the exponents. And we did that earlier. 9 times 7, 63. Don't forget your 1, so that would be r to the 9th. Multiplying monomials and polynomials. Use the distributive property. So we're going to say this times this, and this times this. So negative 4 times 5 is negative 20, and then anything has to be written down. Plus, negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. X1 would give us x to the second. If you need to write it down, you could go negative 4x times 5 plus negative 4x times x. So all I did was wrote out the distributive property and then simplified. Negative 4 times 5 is negative 20x. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. X times x is x squared. So if you need to write it out, write it out. If not, don't. I'm going to write it out. You don't have to. Negative 2, I'm sorry, that's not negative 2. 2x times 5x squared minus 2x times 6x minus 2x times 10. And now we have to simplify. Now we're multiplying. 2 times 5 is 10. x1 and x2 would give us x3. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. x1 would give us x2. Negative 2 times 10 is negative 20. X. And since none of them have the same exact exponents, we can't do any more to it. This would be the final answer. Again, I'm going to write it out. You do not have to. And you might want to put 1y to the second if that confuses you. Plus negative 8 y to the third times y. Negative 8 times, you could put the 1y if you wanted. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. Y, same base, so we add the exponents because we're multiplying. So y to the fifth. Negative 8 times 1 is negative 8. y3 and y1 would give us y to the fourth. And since they are not alike, that's all we can do. So negative 3 times 3x squared times 2x to the third plus negative 3x times x squared minus negative 3x squared times 3x. Since I used the minus sign here, I would not use it with the 3x here. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, x to the fifth. We don't always just throw signs down there because you don't know what it's going to be. Oh no. X to the fifth. So negative 3 times understood 1 is negative 3. X to the second and x to the second, since we have like bases, we can add them. Only because we're multiplying. Now here, I've got a double negative. So I know that's going to become positive. 3 times 3 is 9. X to the third. And since my exponents are not the same, I cannot add them together. Times 2x minus 4x2 y times y, and 4x2 y times 5. And I'll put the plus sign there. Alright, so this gives us 8 x to the third y, because there's my 8. x2 and x1 would be x3, and there's my y. Negative 4 times understood 1 is negative 4. There's not any more x's, but we got to combine the y's, and we get y2. Positive 4 times 5 is positive 20. x2, y, because there's nothing else to combine it with. Okay, find the area of the triangle. So the area of a triangle is 1/2 times the base times the height. You could think of that as base times height divided by 2. Either way, it's the same thing. So my base here is 5x minus 2 times my height, which is 6x, and then everything divided by 2. So I've got to distribute this 6x. Let me rewrite this. This is terrible. So base 5x minus 2 times height, all of it divided by 2. That's the area of this triangle. So here we've got to distribute, and we get 30x squared minus 12x over 2. Now, if you need to see that, 5x minus 2, 6x. So that's going to give you 30x squared minus 12x. Maybe I need to go back to bed and start over. I did the same thing right there. What I meant to do was expand it. So 5x times 6x minus 2 times 6x. I don't know why I put the parentheses over there. They're not necessary. So there's where the 30 came from. And x times x, we add the exponents. We get x squared. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. And then times x. So that's where that came from. Now, since both things can be divided by 2, we're going to reduce this fraction. So 15x squared minus 6x. You could have then multiplied, because this is base times height, and it's 1/2 the base times the height. So if we distributed 1/2, then that would have given us 15x squared minus 6x also. So whichever way you want to do it is perfectly fine. And if I've confused you, ask me in class and I'll explain it. So I'm going to stop this video because it's monomials and the next one is binomials. So I'm going to stop this and start another.